In impact investing, impact risk may arise from industry level operations, investor level operations, and system level operations. Check out my earlier video where I discussed the nature of impact risk arising from each of these operational levels. Today's video will focus on impact risk arising from investor level operations. Impact investment projects may fail to achieve the expected positive impact or may create a negative impact due to the substandard operations of investor companies or their irresponsible actions. My research identifies four major control mechanisms that leading impact investing firms use to address the impact risk that may arise from their own operations. The first control mechanism used is selecting employees with appropriate skills at investor companies and providing them with training to further their impact management capability to address both positive and negative impact risk. However, using employee selection and training as an impact risk control mechanism is far from straightforward in impact investing. Investors recognize the difficulties in hiring suitable employees in the impact investing space. This is because simultaneously solving complex social problems and generating expected financial returns, as in the case of impact investing, requires different skills than generating financial return only, as in the case of traditional investing. Leading impact investors acknowledge that impact management skills are much harder to teach than investment management skills. Therefore, they adopt a different hiring approach than traditional investment firms. For example, while hiring employees, Big Society Capital, a UK based impact investing firm, prioritizes quality of thinking, social motivation, and understanding of impact because they believe these are harder to teach skills and are essential for their approach. They do not prioritize investment backgrounds as they believe that these skills are comparatively easier to teach. Another major control mechanism is developing an integrated information management system to monitor ongoing investment activities at investor companies, thus controlling positive and negative impact risk. Investors recognize that to effectively manage their investments' impact risk, there is no alternative but to manage impact risk and opportunities throughout the investment life cycle. An integrated investment management system facilitates such an endeavor. Usually, investors develop integrated investment management system based on a mix of their own objectives and policies as well as international guidelines such as IFC performance standards on environmental and social sustainability and the World Bank Group environmental health and safety guidelines. Investors recognize several benefits of using integrated investment management system as an impact risk control mechanism. For example, Development Partners International, a UK-based impact investing firm, notes their experience in the following way. Our integrated impact and ESG management system provides an innovative and practical ESG and impact management framework for effective incorporation and management across Development Partners International's investment processes and decision making, as well as in the day-to-day business activities of the firm. It guides how Development Partners International shall drive the ongoing ESG and impact performance of the fund's investment portfolio as a whole and at individual portfolio companies. Another major control mechanism used is an investment outcome review, that is, evaluating the overall investment outcome at investor companies at the end of a milestone period. Here, appropriate teams in the investor organizations review the final impact outcome at the portfolio and the individual investee company levels. For Actis, the UK-based impact investing firm, the investment outcome review is conducted by its responsible investing team. This usually includes, among others, comparing the expected and actual impact return on a quarterly or annual basis. Investors predominantly adopt the investment outcome review as an important opportunity to draw key lessons and leverage them to better achieve their impact goals in the future. Following the outcome review, investors usually prepare evaluation reports that may contain recommendations for adapting certain aspects of the investment process, whose subsequent implementation is monitored. While the investment outcome review helps investors manage their impact risk, there are several complexities around measuring social impact, which can reduce its effectiveness as an impact risk control mechanism. For example, investee companies often operate in different geographical contexts. Hence, a major difficulty that investors face while conducting an investment outcome review is credible data sources in the appropriate geographical context. To address this issue, many impact investors collect data from third party sources and employ third party consultants to facilitate their outcome reviews. Establishing self accountability regarding ongoing investment activities is another control mechanism that investors use to manage impact risk that may arise from their own operations. This is usually accomplished via two major channels: disclosure of the investment management process and impact grievance mechanism. Establishing self accountability by ensuring greater transparency of their investment management process via making public disclosures helps to reinforce public trust and expand investors' license to operate, as noted by IFC Asset Management Company. This also brings important discipline to the investor's overall investment management process in general and impact risk management process in particular. Impact investors also establish self accountability by establishing a grievance mechanism by which investors allow communities affected by projects financed by investors to raise complaints and seek compensation. The grievance mechanism brings important discipline to the investor's impact risk management process, since it provides incentives to investors to take preventative actions to avoid any potential negative consequences from their investment projects in the first place. Also, in the case of actual unintended consequences, having a grievance mechanism provides incentives to investors to take early action to mitigate the effects of the consequences. For example, the Belgian investment company, also known as BIO, describes its grievance mechanism in the following way. BIO's grievance mechanism is a citizen driven accountability mechanism that responds to grievances and demands for redress by people affected or potentially affected by projects financed by BIO. This promotes more inclusive and sustainable development by giving affected people a greater voice in projects that impact them. This mechanism is an essential monitoring tool for BIO to manage risk and impacts in a structured way and an ongoing basis. Collectively, these four control mechanisms offer impact investors valuable tools to mitigate impact risk that may arise from their own operations. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.